What's good, y'all? It's Solution back at it again with another Mental Gym video in which I give you guys frameworks you can use to become extremely successful and achieve all the goals that you are after. So let's get right into it. So today I want to talk about acceptance and why it's so important in helping you achieve your goals. And the definition I came up with for this framework is not paying attention to things you can't control. You see, a lot of us waste our most valuable resource, or in this case, to give an example, our currency, our money. We spend money on things that give us no value in return. We pay attention to things we can't control. And the thing is, when you pay attention to things you can't control, you don't get that attention back, right? You've given that attention away, and it will give you nothing back because you cannot make the thing that you gave your attention to do something for you because you can't control it. Meaning you can't forcibly consistently make it give you value in return. It's unreliable. And who wants to give such a valuable resource such as attention away to something that will give us nothing in return? It's just generally a bad idea, and it doesn't really serve our goals. Because the great thing is, if we're not paying attention to things we can't control, that means we can pay attention to things that we can control. And we love things we can control. Why? Because we know if we focus on those things, we'll get value back in return, which that value will allow us to achieve our goals, right? So, how do we make sure we're ignoring things we can't control? How can we make sure we are accepting, right? So, this is where I get into the exercise for the framework. So, the first thing you must do, right, or the first part of this equation would be awareness. Awareness, right? Plus, and I'll get into the next one in a second. So, awareness. So, what do I mean by awareness? You see, the only way to make sure you're ignoring things that you can't control is by being aware of the things that you cannot control. Because if you don't know what you can't control, how can you make sure you're not wasting your attention? How can you make sure? You need to be aware of the things that could potentially not help you, right? So, how can we make sure we're ignoring these things? Well, kind of what I mentioned a little bit with the definition is you have to think about what can you forcibly do? Can you make something do something by force consistently, right? Can you make something do something, right? By force consistently, right? Because if you cannot make something do something by force consistently, you're not in control of that thing. Like when you think about yourself, you can force yourself to get up. You can force yourself to open your eyes. You can force yourself to move your arm, right? With no negotiations, no debates, no talking, just actions immediately. Whereas when it comes to people, for example, you cannot force people to do things consistently. You cannot do it by force, meaning there's no debates, no negotiations, no words. They just do it. It just happens, like forcibly. There's no questions or answers asked, right? So the thing with this is like, in order to be aware of what these things are, and you know, okay, these are the things that I can't do anything by force, then you're good because you can't make it do anything by force, right? So, okay, boom, those are the things you can't control. Tends to be people, the weather, the solar system, the universe, all of those things are included in things that you can't control, right? Because you can't forcibly make those things do something consistently. You just can't do it. So good. So right now for yourself, think about your own life. What are things that you might be paying attention to right now you can't forcibly make do something? Your parents, your cousin, your uncle, your coach, if you're an athlete, your boss, if you work a job right now. Like, you cannot control what these things do, right? So now that you're aware of these things, if you're thinking about it right now, which you should be, if you're thinking about it right now that you're aware of these things, we move into the next step, right? Which is ignore. So Once you have realized that you cannot control these entities that I just referred to a second ago, right? Then you should just ignore them, right? You should stop paying attention to them, right? Because you now know you cannot control it, right? So you don't want to waste any more of your attention. And in order to not waste it anymore, you have to ignore these things. Let me give you an example of this that usually hits home for most people. So a lot of us, we compare ourselves to other people. And specifically for guys who are ambitious and want to achieve goals, we compare ourselves to people who have achieved whatever we want to achieve or are just generally ahead of us on whatever path we are on to achieving our goal, right? And ultimately, as I was just breaking down right here, you cannot force those people to do things. You have no control over those people, right? And so with that being said, why are we paying attention to people who are ahead of us, right? If we cannot control what they do and they're not actively serving us, because this is different from somebody who would maybe be in your value circle, meaning somebody who can help you achieve your goals, because it's different if someone is ahead of you and they're actively helping you, because then it's like it's an exchange. Your attention, you're getting value back for the attention you are giving. But for some random person on the internet or on social media that you see that has achieved whatever you want or is ahead of you, you shouldn't be sitting there like, oh my God, like look at this person. Because what most people do is they'll see this person and they'll get frustrated. They'll get mad at their own situation, how they're not as far ahead as they want to be, all these different things. And the crazy thing is, ultimately, all these thoughts do not help you. Like these thoughts don't help you at all. You get no value for sitting here and being frustrated by someone being ahead of you that you cannot control or you don't have control over. But it's crazy because we'll sit here and look at these things, we'll pay attention to these things that we cannot control and make ourselves frustrated. And ultimately that frustration is wasted. When that frustration could have went into things we can control. Because it's different if you like perform badly in whatever area you're trying to perform in. You can be frustrated at yourself because you can control your performance, right? You can make yourself improve by force. But when it comes to other people and what they do and how they perform, you shouldn't care. You should not give a fuck at all. Because you can't do anything about them. What they're doing has nothing to do with you. And looking and paying attention to them gives you no value in return. Unless you're sitting here and thinking, oh, if I look at somebody else who's way ahead of me and I don't have any personal contact with them, yeah, looking and paying attention to their life serves me. Like, bro, it obviously doesn't. So we got to stop doing it. You got to learn to ignore things you can't control. And in order to do that, you have to be aware of the things you can't. And the awareness comes from realizing or thinking in this way like, oh, is this something I can forcibly make do something? Is this person someone I can make do something by force consistently? No. Okay, I can't control that. Can I make it rain tomorrow consistently? Oh, no, you can't do that, right? So you don't control those things. So just ignore them. And the beauty is when you ignore these things, you will now have all this attention back. And with all of this attention back, it can be driven into things that you will guarantee get value from because you can control those things. And this has helped me out thinking like this has helped me out so much because now I have so much attention that I can use on things that are actually serving me, right? Because we have social media, we're in such an extremely connected world now that our attention is being fought for consistently, right? And ultimately we pay attention to these things that give us no value at all. And we might do this on accident because we were kind of just born into it. Social media just popped up. Our ability to connect with other people around the world just popped up. And now it's taken over our mind basically. Whereas if you can get the strength back, if you can realize, oh, I can't control this, remove those things. And then you have all this attention and then you're like, but I can control myself and how hard I am working. You take that attention and then put it into those buckets. And then you're going to start soaring towards your goals, right? You'll compare yourself to yourself because it's the only thing you really can control, yourself. If you can only really control yourself, then all your attention should be going into yourself, period, right? I'm not saying that if you see something you can't control, it's like, oh, I just hate that thing. I can't love or like something I can't control. No, you can. You just have to have the awareness to know you can't control it. So when that thing does something you wouldn't want it to do, or you don't like the certain thing that someone else does, you have to get back here and make sure you're aware of the fact, oh, I can't control that. So it did that thing because I can't do anything about it, so I should just ignore it. So when the person does something you don't like, or a person or a thing, like it's rainy outside, or a person says a mean comment about you, or someone's being a hater about you, you should just ignore it. And for you, and if you can do this, you should just remove it completely, meaning don't allow yourself to see it. If you can't control something, then don't even look at it. And if you do end up looking at it somehow, some way, you gotta refer back to your awareness and realize, oh, I can't do anything about that, so who cares? Just who cares? So you don't have to waste frustration. You can use that attention and energy on things that are going to serve you and help you. So yeah, that's pretty much my frame on acceptance. I know this is kind of like a low key thing, but I'm telling you, it can make all the difference in moving your goals forward as far and as fast as possible, because you will have all this attention back. Because right now, especially if you go through this exercise and think to yourself, what can I forcibly make do something consistently, and realize there's all these things that you can't remove those things, you're going to have so much attention. You're going to be like, damn, bruh, I didn't even realize how much of like this energy, this mental energy, because obviously a big thing about my channel is the mental gym. You won't realize all this mental energy you've been using on shit, or been looking at, that's been wasted. Like all this mental energy. When you remove all this shit that is just bullshit, because you can't control it, and essentially what you can't control is just bullshit. You remove all of it, bro. And then you just have all the shit that you can control, and you just pay attention to that. And then life is good. You can move far, you can move fast when it comes to achieving your goals, and generally you just feel less frustrated. Because at least when you can control yourself and you do something you don't like and you get frustrated at yourself, you can use that energy to benefit yourself now. Rather than the frustration being aimed at your current situation in general, you can use that frustration on yourself. And then that will always serve you, right? Or it can always serve you in driving further and faster towards achieving your goals. So yeah, please give me feedback on this. Did this make sense? Did it not make sense? The feedback always helps and serves me, and I like paying attention to the feedback because I can look at the feedback, I can control myself and improve my content to better serve you guys, right? So please give me feedback on the video, and please like the video, boost us in the algorithm so more guys can see this. Make sure they're being more accepting, being aware of the things they can't control, ignoring those things, and then putting all of their energy and mental currency, which is attention, on things they can, to move further and faster towards their goals. So yeah, so with that being said, I guess I'll catch you guys in the next Mental Gym video. Peace.